everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things sewing. Today is day 75 of 100 days of sewing and I've got another Frugal Friday which is inspired by this week's Great British Sewing Bee, and the theme this week was Children's Week. So if you want to see Winston Churchill wearing a dress, keep watching. So I usually talk about sewing on a budget, and Frugal Fridays are generally where I bring you free patterns, any discounts and giveaways and competitions that I've found during the week. So if you're new to this channel, welcome, and if that's the sort of thing that you like, consider subscribing. If you hit the notification bell, that will tell you when I've got new videos out. That's usually on a Fridays with the Frugal Fridays videos. I've got a whole playlist of all my past videos with lots and lots of free patterns available there. Midweek I usually bring a tutorial, and on a Sunday I usually bring plans, makes, reviews and that sort of thing. And thank you to everyone so far who subscribed and donated to my coffee account. That's really kind of you, thank you so much. So on to today's video. So yes, we had Children's Week this week. We saw the contestants making children's rompers and fancy dress and children's coats, Max. I'm going to do a quick review of the programme and then I've got some free patterns to talk about that have been inspired by the programme. But you might be wondering what Mandy the mannequin is wearing here. And this is the Heyday dungarees by Waves and Wild. They used to be made by Jack's mum. And I did notice that Serena, one of the contestants, was wearing a pair of dungarees very similar to these. And I was wearing these on Wednesday when the show was on, and I thought, oh, look at me down with the kids. Anyway, she was wearing the willow overalls, if anybody was wondering, and they are by Pipe Dream Patterns. I had a little sneaky peek through her Instagram account, and that's the ones that she was wearing. They are very similar to the Heyday dungarees. Just made these this last week and they are the most comfortable things and I can highly recommend them. And the willow dungarees look very similar, except that you've got a really wide legged option with them. So I just thought I'd just mention that whilst we were here, and if you were wondering what Mandy was wearing, because she doesn't fit into any of the children's clothes, so I had to put something on her. For the first round, which is the pattern challenge, the contestants have 4 hours to make a romper for a child, a baby. And it was quite interesting actually, because we got a little bit of social history about how rompers developed. I think they called them crawling aprons or something to start off with. And the background is that all children under a certain age, up until sort of 1910s or something like that, all wore dresses, and until somebody realised that they were the most impractical things for babies when they started crawling about, and somebody came up with the genius idea of tying the dresses underneath and making them into kind of rompers. So they were the early stages of rompers. So I'm going to show now a picture of Winston Churchill as a baby wearing a dress, and that's what children wore. So rompers actually developed through practicality really. So for the contestants challenge, they had 4 hours to make these rompers, which you'd think were quite a long time. But you've got like elastic gathering, you've got buttons and buttonholes, and then you've got these snaps that go underneath so that you can change the nappies or diapers, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, some really quite tricky, quite fiddly techniques on such a small item of clothing really. And I think fabric choice came into play as well. The judges mentioned that they needed something that was fun but durable. So, you know, kids, if they're starting to crawl, they wear out their knees. But by the same token, you don't want something that's too durable and it's going to be too thick to get those snaps through. And it's one of those things that you don't find out until right at the end when you're putting the snaps in, and you did find a few of the contestants really struggled with that. So the rompers had a little bib at the front, sort of a big baggy trousers, snaps underneath, and then straps going over the top, which were fastened at the back with buttons and buttonholes. So quite a lot of techniques in that. So the contestants mentioned right at the beginning that there were actually more instructions involved in this particular garment than any of the other pattern challenges that they'd done so far. So, of course, Damien being Damien, only half read his. I think Fari's the only mum amongst them all, and had been the only one who'd made children's clothes on a regular basis. Serena mentioned that she'd made a bridesmaid dress for her niece, but I think this, you know, making children's clothes was quite new to most of the contestants. So 2 of the contestants went for African wax print. That was Fari and Raf, and I think African wax print was probably a good choice. It's quite a durable fabric and nice and bright and colourful as well. The judges were sort of talking about pattern placement as well, so she managed to get one of the designs right in the middle of the bib. So yeah, we saw Fari using the African wax print, and then Raf used African wax print as well. And Raf was such a perfectionist. There was one of the techniques was stitching in the ditch, which is actually when you sew into the fold of a seam so that you can't see it. Instead of top stitching so you can see it, you make it so it's invisible. I think you could see it ever so slightly, and unpicked it all. I think that might have been to his detriment because he didn't quite finish sewing the channel for the elastic at the back. I think Adam was his own worst enemy in picking 3 different fabrics. He had red straps, then he had a cute sort of like a zoo-like, childlike print at the front, and then chambray for the main part, which was actually quite practical. Because it was quite durable, but the problem was with that is that the chambray was too thick. Then when he came to put his snaps in, and his snaps didn't actually adhere properly to the fabric. And Patrick did point out that you could see the red seams coming through the white at the front of the bib. I think he made it hard work for himself because he was having to change thread all the time. He got it finished, but his snaps kept coming off as well. So I think Adina made a mistake while she was sewing hers up and had to do some unpicking, which made her sort of rushed at the end. It looked a little bit messy on the bib front there, so she got picked up on that one. Damien went for a Lady McElroy fabric, which I'm going to show you now, which Minerva sent an email that they've got that in stock. And as always, Damien only half read the instructions, and that proved a bit fatal, I think, at the end because he'd not read it properly. I don't think he turned enough under for his snaps to be adhered to. Then Rebecca chose some lovely dinosaur fabric, and I don't think they actually found any fault with Rebecca's. Serena won that round with her choice of the lemon fabric. They said the sewing was impeccable. I think Rebecca was a close second with that one. Strangely, Andrew chose a white fabric as well with the fish on, and he got picked up on by them saying that white wasn't a very practical colour for children. Can't remember where it came on that one, but Serena's background was white as well, so it just seemed a bit contrary, shall we say. So I don't think there was much to pick between them, the contestants, really. I think the hardest part of the challenge was getting those snaps to stay put, and obviously you want them to stay put. You don't want anything like that coming undone with small children about. It's quite dangerous. Luckily, the Great British Sewing Bee actually released this pattern, and it's available on their website. So we'll put a link to that pattern below. Everything that I'm going to talk about will be linked below, and I've just printed it out this morning or this afternoon for you to have a quick look at, and you can see how big these pattern pieces are that accommodate the you can see there, can't get back far enough, there we go, how big these pattern pieces are. So this is available free on the website. I'll show you a picture of it whilst I'm talking. And yeah, you've got the front and the back. You've got the bib piece, which is teeny tiny, and all that gets gathered into that. You can see the difference. One side's elastic, one side's gathering. That's a facing for the back, and that's where the elastic will go in, no doubt. And then you've got the straps with the buttonholes. And there's 2 buttonholes so you can adjust it for size. Then you've just got 2 little facing pieces. These are to give some support for the snaps underneath. So you've just got 3 snaps that go underneath, so make it easy to access for nappy changing. There is only one size, and it's saying it's for a 9-month to a 12-month-old. So I'm going to have a go at making that, and I'm going to have a go at making it in the 4 hours. If you leave me a comment below and let me know if you want me to do it as a sew along and help you with any sort of techniques and hints and tips and maybe get those snaps right. I have made my granddaughter a little dungaree set out of one of the old Sewing Bee books. These are called dungarees rather than a romper, but there isn't a great deal of difference really. I made her those, and I'll show you a picture of her wearing them because she's only just fitted into them. So if you've got one of the old Sewing Bee books, that's available for you. I know sometimes you buy a sewing book and you forget what's in them, so I'm not sure if when I make that romper what fabric to make it in. I made those dungarees in a chambray, and I think that's an ideal fabric really, and I managed to get the snaps in okay. I have got some of this linen left, So we could do Grandma and me matching rompers. I do feel like a large child wearing them, to be honest, but I don't think black's really a baby colour, although they don't tend to dress her in sort of what I call babyish colour. I'll have a root through my scraps and see what I've got. So let me know below if you want me to do a sew along for that and take you through some of the techniques. I'm quite happy to do that. Won't be next week, it might be the week after, because I'm still working on the some of the other sew alongs. They do take quite a lot of putting together. So a couple of people have asked me to do a sew along for the Paola jacket that I did. I'm not going to do that because it was a one-off and I didn't film it, and I was just enjoying how creative I was getting with recycling the jeans. So if I do another jacket sometime in the future, then certainly I will film it and do a sew along for it, but not in these next couple of weeks, certainly not. I don't really have a need for two jackets like that. So you know, sometimes it's just good to play about with fabric and see what you come up with. So that one is just a one size only, but I have found a couple of other romper suits that are for various sizes. One on Life So Savoury, she's got one that's in 4 sizes, so 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 9 to 12 months. It doesn't have the straps, but it does have the snaps underneath. Instead of the straps, it's just got a snap fastening at the shoulder seam. Option for ruffles, and there's only 6 pages for this to print, so very, very cute little romper suit, and I would imagine it's easy to follow. If you're looking for something for older children, there's some dungarees here for ages 6 months to 2 years. This has still got snaps underneath, so you can access for nappy changing, but I would say that these are more dungarees, and they are available from the Love Sewing magazine. And unusually for Love Sewing magazine, sometimes you get the free patterns and you get the instructions just as almost as a very basic blog post, but the instructions for these are a downloadable PDF, so they're a little bit more comprehensive. So there are lots of children's free patterns available on the internet, and I found lots of free romper patterns in Mums Makes Lists, it's called. Quite a few romper patterns on there, so it gives you a bit more choice, a few more options there. If you'd like me to do a Frugal Friday focused on children's patterns, leave me a comment below. One of my pals on Instagram, Sandy, gave me links to lots and lots of children's patterns that she'd used in the past that she could recommend. So I'm quite happy to sort of do a top 10 list or something like that. Now I'm going to be making a few more things for my granddaughter. I've probably got more reasons to make for children's clothes, so I'm happy to do that for you. So I'll quickly touch on the transformation round because it was quite a fun one, was this one. So the contestants had 90 minutes to transform neoprene wetsuits and flotation aids and swimming aids into a kid's fancy dress costume, and the theme was Under the Sea. So I think the idea is that, you know, you go into this round with a clear idea of what you're going to do. We love it or hate it this round. I mean, it's here to stay, isn't it? So we might as well sort of enjoy it for what it is. And I think the judges were looking for something 3D and sculptural and fun. But it was aimed at children, so something that was fun. So we had 3 mermaids in this round. Damien, Rafe and Adam all made mermaids. I think Adam's was the most convincing as a mermaid outfit, and the other 2 were just a little bit tame, shall we say. Not the drama and the impact that the judges like. Adina seemed to flounder a little bit on this round. She didn't seem to know what she was going for. Esme just commented, you know, she didn't know what it was. Wasn't really themed on anything. Fari was going for a shark, but Esme didn't recognise it as such. So I think the others were quite good. Rebecca was going for an octopus, and it was very much an octopus. And Serena went for a jellyfish. I think it was Andrew's crab that really grabbed the judge's attention, and his imagination was sparked by seeing a crab on one of the things that they were using, and he just went for it. You know, they were using these things they're called noodles. They're just like long flotation devices. Then he just fashioned crab's claws out of that. So it did a really great job. But yeah, it had eyes, it had its claws, it looked like a crab. It did a great job. So it deservedly won that round, I think. So just for a little bit of fun, I have found a couple of free patterns that are under the sea themed. I found a little cuddly toy in the shape of an octopus from Rebecca Page. That's hand sewn. and then a couple of snuggle blankets. From the Mate for Mermaids website, there is a mermaid's tail and a shark's tail. So yeah, if shark's your thing, then you do go for the shark's tail or a mermaid's tail, and I think you just use them as blankets. Kids snuggle down into them. And what's fun about these is that she's got separate ones for the children's toys as well, so either the dolls or the teddy bears. So I thought those were a bit of fun. So again, I'll link those below for you. So the made to measure round was to make a children's unisex mac, and that's a raincoat or just a waterproof coat for a child. Children seemed to be around about 8 years of age that were modelling, and they had 4.5 hours to do that. So the judges were looking for something that was fun but practical, so it had to be waterproof. There was a lot of emphasis on how tricky the fabrics were going to be to sew with, so you had quite a few people struggling with really awkward fabrics going through the sewing machines, either sticky or slippery fabrics going through the sewing machines. So I'll just give a brief overview of what everybody made, and then I will go into some free patterns that I found if you fancy having a bash at making a child's coat yourself. If I know which patterns that the contestants used, I'll tell you about those as well, but the point of this video is for me to find free patterns that you can get the look of, not to replicate entirely. It did seem that quite a few of them were using the same pattern, and I think really kids mac patterns at that age group, there isn't a great deal of variety. So we had Adam sticking with his nautical theme with his boat coat, and he used a yellow PUL which had little origami boats on it, and then he went for boat pockets and then little whistles on the cuffs. Unfortunately, he really struggled getting his fabric through the machine, and it meant that the pockets didn't happen. And at one point he actually managed to get his thread caught around his machine foot. I don't know what happened there. So pockets didn't go on and his snaps didn't align properly, and I think that's probably because he was just rushing at the end. So yeah, he did actually say that it was the worst thing he'd ever actually sewn, which is a real shame. I could have cried for him, really. Damien decided he would use a shower curtain, which was novel. His had little fish on, and it was see-through, and then he used something underneath so it would shimmer through. Couldn't understand why I didn't use blue. I used like a pink colour. I couldn't understand why I didn't use blue for that. But I did notice that the fabric that he used, it didn't iron it, so he was struggling with the fabric growing, because obviously the shower curtain fabric that didn't move, but the lining fabric was growing, I think, and at one point I think he had 3 centimetres more lining than he did on his shower curtain. But he did have the ingenious idea of using a magnetic strip down the front of the coat to fasten it, and at the back of the coat to make the hood detachable. So in theory, great idea, I thought. But I did think back to when my lad were 8 years old, and I thought that hood would last like 30 seconds before it were off and lost. But yeah, it clearly doesn't have an 8-year-old child, because they lose everything. So I think Adam and Damien used the same pattern, which was the Andy Anorak by Rebecca Page. I print quite a few Rebecca Page patterns off at work. I saw Adam's and I thought that looks like a Rebecca Page. I went and had a look at what MAC patterns that she's got, and yeah, I'm fairly sure that that's the one that they both used. Very traditional sou'wester pattern is that one. So Andrew went for a reversible coat, which was a good idea. Twice the wear out of the coat. Did make me laugh when he said that it was reflecting his personality, sort of the serious side on one side and then the more fun side on the other side, which wasn't particularly fun. There was nothing outrageous about it. It just had a few stripes on the pocket. The only reversible coat that I could find online was one by a company called Puperita, and that was a Buddy Buddy coat. And it's a good little fun coat. It's available from newborn up to 10 years old, so good value. It's only £5 on the Puperita website. So once you buy it, you've got a coat there for 10 years. And you can make it into little animals, so you can put little animal ears, so you can be anything from a bunny rabbit to a bear, by just changing the ears, and then they've got little rabbit tails and little different paws for the pockets. Really fun little coat, and then you can make the reversible side quite normal. So if you go onto the Puperita website, she's got lots and lots of children's patterns on there, all really quite good value, all around about the £5 mark. Not free, but really good value, I think. And she does have a Facebook group as well, so always great when pattern designers have got Facebook groups, because oftentimes when you join you usually get a freebie. I've not tried, but usually sometimes get a freebie. But it's just the support that you get. You know, if you're having any problems with a pattern, you get lots of support on there and lots of different ideas as well. Somebody will come up with an idea that you've not thought of. So yeah, I thought that was a nice one to find. And then a great bit of editing by the team when Andrew was saying, no self-respecting child wants unicorns and rainbows, and then cut straight to Fari, who was using rainbows and unicorns. But she had the added bonus of using a rainbow unicorn tail and the bottom of the hood as well. So yeah, good fun little coat by Fari there. She has made coats for her girls before, and she'd actually made this coat for her girls before. So she'd had plenty of practice. It's possible that she was using the I Am Patterns Jack raincoat, which is ages 3 to 14. But the beauty of this one is there's adult sizes as well, so you can have matching raincoats for all the family. So I think Rebecca potentially used the same pattern as Fari as well. It looked the same from the drawings. And she was using laminated cotton, little rain clouds on the bodice, and then red hood and sleeves and pockets. And I really liked her placement of the snaps. She sort of did 3 and then 3 and 3. So I thought that was really quite clever and cute. She made a bit of a mistake when she was putting the hood on. When she tried it on the child, hood looked really strange. And when she unpicked it and did it again, it looked like she'd sewn the wrong part up. So she'd sewn the bit up that goes, you know, across the face instead of across the back. So she had to unpick it and then put it back in again. And then when she put it back in again, it just wasn't aligned with the centre front there. But she kept very calm when she realised the mistake. Yeah, I really liked hers, and I liked the way that she reacted. Adina had a novel idea of using the garment bags that you use for, you know, when you take your clothes to the dry cleaners and they give you the protective bags. She used those. I think she used those because she couldn't find a laminate fabric that had dinosaurs on. So novel idea coming up with it. These dinosaurs were sort of poking through, and I think she had them on as a lining, and then the main bodice pieces were green. She had a similar criticism to Catherine last week in that the dinosaurs were obscured by the fabric that she was using, and you couldn't really see it come through very well. And I'm pretty sure she was using an Oliver and S pattern. I think I saw that one. That's a school days coat, and that's available for 6 months to 8 years. And Oliver and S have got lots of children's patterns available as well. And Serena just used navy blue in the main bodice, and then picked out the sleeves and the hood and the pockets with like a blue floral. Not much to say about hers really, it wasn't much to report on that one. Both Raf and Serena's had raglan sleeves, and I'm pretty sure that they use the same pattern. Raf took his inspiration from his nephew, who was half Guatemalan, and took the colours from the national bird of Guatemala, which is I'm going to have to look at it, Quetzal, which are sort of bright greens and blues and reds, and use that within his pattern. And then he used like a knit lining, which would make it really nice and soft and comfortable. And I would imagine a little bit tricky as well to sew that like a stretch to that waterproof fabric. I think his might have been one from the Sewing Sanctuary. They seem to specialise in fabrics that are ideal for making mats and things like that. So Fari won Garment of the Week again with her unicorn tail. Esme really seemed to like that one. I think she's really honed in on what the judges are looking for, just something that's quite dramatic and stands out there. And obviously a sewing must be good as well. It was very eye-catching, and I really felt sorry for Adam this week. I could have really cried for him, but unfortunately somebody has to go. So I have managed to find a couple of coat patterns for you this week, and one that stands out really that's very similar to most of the patterns, because like I said, they're all very similar, is from the Sew magazine. You just need to register and you can download the patterns, and the instructions are there for it as well. So this one's a bit of a good one because it's an adult's and a child's one as well, so you can do the Mummy and Me one if you want. It's not lined, so if you fancy having a bash at it, it's fairly uncomplicated because you've only got the lining in the hood. It does have the hood and the collar. If you want to put pockets on it, you can put pockets on it, make them fun pockets. There's no pockets on the pattern, but there's nothing to stop you from doing that. The only problem with the Sew magazine patterns is that a lot of the information will be inside the magazine, including the sizing. So the sizing's not actually on the pattern. There are 3 sizes for it. There's not much difference between the 3 sizes, looking at the picture, it looks like maybe a 6-year-old child on there, but it is only 15 pages long. If you fancy having a bash, you could just quickly twirl it. I've talked about this before. I sometimes use these dust sheets that you can pick up in the pound shops. You get 1.5 meters, and it's quite a sturdy fabric is this. Not great for the environment, I'm afraid. You can see through it, so you can trace through the pattern straight onto this, cut it out and sew it and try it on a child, and you'd have a good idea of whether it fits or not. For £1, it might be worth having a go rather than wasting fabric. I mean, it is only 15 pages and quick to download and stick together and twirl. And you do only need 1.5 meters of fabric as well to make this pattern. So a bit of an Indian giver, that one, because I can't tell from the picture how old that child is. I'm guessing about 5 or 6. So if anybody knows, or if anybody's got the magazine or they've made it and they know the age range, if they could leave a note in the comments below for us, that would be fantastic. And yeah, you can make yourself one to match as well. A few words of advice about sewing with these kinds of fabrics, and first one would be, if you've got a walking foot, use a walking foot. That would help the fabric feed through nice and evenly, especially if you're using a lining and you're trying to sew a slippery lining to something quite either sticky or something that won't stretch. Teflon foot's great for anything that's sticky. A few of the contestants mentioned about unpicking the fabric and leaving holes in it. You can actually buy a waterproof seam tape, and that will stop any water coming through the seams where you have stitched, because even if you haven't unpicked, water will come through those seams. So I will leave a link to my Amazon affiliate account. It might earn me threepence, I don't know, but I'll leave a link to that, just full disclosure. I will get a commission if you use that. And the other thing is to remember that you can't press most of these fabrics. So if you're going to use these sort of fabrics, use a pressing cloth. Just make sure you've got something between the fabric and your iron so that it doesn't melt. So another little fun little coat that's not a MAC, it's just a fun little coat, but if your child's not in that age range and is a little bit younger, it's a little quilted coat pattern that I found, and I thought it was a great fun little project for using up your scraps. This is for ages 2 to 2.5 years, so it is quite a limited size range. It is from, I think it's like a blog post from something called Dream Factory. But I thought it'd be quite a fun one for a small quilting project. I would definitely be thinking about making one for my granddaughter out of scraps for this one when she's a little bit older. So I'll leave a link to that below. So on to discounts and giveaways now, and I've just got a couple for you this week, keep it brief. So over it are celebrating 10 years. The company's been going 10 years, so they've got 10 PDF patterns up for grabs, and that is available until this Sunday. You just need to post a picture of your favourite Sew Over It make on Instagram and tag them in, and I think the tag is Sew Over It 10, hashtag Sew Over It 10, just need to tag them in with that. It is judged, is this one, by Lisa Comfort, so I would make the photograph as fun as you can. I nearly posted a really boring one of myself, and I thought that's not going to win. It's a bit different to the, when it's been randomly drawn, so make it jumping in the air or put something underneath about why it's your favourite one. I've made the Sew Over It vintage shirt dress several times, and so I'll try and include a fun one before Sunday. That's the Sew Over It one. 10 free patterns is definitely worth having. So Size Me Sewing, who is a local pattern company to us and sponsored the Frugal Frocks Challenge for us, is celebrating 2,500 followers on Instagram, and she's giving away a PDF pattern of your choice. You just need to save her post, follow her, and tag in a friend and like the post as well. And yeah, she's got some really nice patterns, really everyday wearable patterns, and simple to make as well. It's really nice aesthetic as Donna. You do get an extra entry for posting on your stories as well. So if you are interested in the contestants on Sewing Bee, Simple Sew magazine are having interviews with people who have left that week, so they've got little interviews, but they've got a little Me Made May competition going on as well, where you can win £50 worth of Simple Sew goodies, and that is to post a picture on Instagram during Me Made May, tag them in. It's for their Me Made May garden party, so it's just using any picture. You can use any old picture, you don't have to use a new picture, you just tag them in, and say that you would be wearing that particular garment to their garden party. So any pattern and any picture. They've also got a 10% discount on children's patterns as well, so I will leave a link to that for you. And finally, not a competition, but I just thought I'd tell you about the Fold Line Sewing Weekender. That is on the 12th and 13th of June. And it's £17.50 for a ticket. I joined in last year and really enjoyed it. This year they're actually having a Facebook page so people can connect beforehand. I think last year a few of them connected and did actually little sew-alongs either via Zoom or WhatsApp or something between each other. So I think they're doing it a little bit more formally this time, where you can just connect with lots of other people. So I thought that was a bit of fun. Lots and lots of little talks and classes. It was really good last year. The beauty of it is that they will send you a link on the morning, but you can catch up. You don't have to watch all the videos as they come out live. There is a schedule, but you can dip in and out as you like, because obviously not everybody's in the same country, so you might be in bed when they come out. I will be working on the Saturday, so I'll be catching up when I come back on the Saturday evening. So yeah, there'll be live Zooms, and then there's all these virtual talks and classes. Making a tailor's ham. I think there's a hack along for the Zadie jumpsuit. So yeah, there's all sorts on that one, and I really enjoyed it last year, and the profits are going to charity as well, so well worth it. So I'm just going to quickly mention a book that I've just got through in the post this afternoon, and that is a new named patterns book, and that is Building the Pattern, not Breaking the Pattern. That was their old one. So I'm going to do a review of this one, probably on Sunday. I wasn't going to do a video on Sunday because I'm going to see my granddaughter, but I'll try and fit it in on Sunday and give you my response to it. But I'll quickly show you what it is. So you've got 7 patterns. See if you can see there, you've got 7 patterns with lots of different varieties. So I think you've got up to 21 different variations from the 7 patterns, using them as blocks, very similar to the Breaking the Pattern one. And I'll quickly flash you 2 that I picked out. So quite liked the pocket finishing on there, thought that was really unusual. And little teasers for Sunday, see what I'm doing. And that pocket detail there on the belt, thought that was fun. They're really great for detail, are named. And then that shirt pattern has just got these buttons down there, which I thought was really, really unusual. And that's definitely something I'll be making. So I will give you my full response to that, but I thought I'd just give you a little teaser of that one coming up. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back on Sunday with a review of the Building the Pattern book. And please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. If anybody else is into frugal sewing, share my videos. That apparently gets the videos seen by lots more people as well. And I've got a new catchphrase: stay frugal. What do you think? Thanks so much for watching. I shall speak to you later. Bye.